The following film is one of a series of 3 commissioned by Forests Monitor and Tropenbos International, which explain what community forestry is and present the benefits and challenges it can bring. Case studies from 8 countries show what might be possible in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
For us, the forest means a lot. It's our future, the future of our children and our grandchildren. When there was no community forestry, life was much tougher. There were no jobs or opportunities to earn more money. Now, we have many job opportunities.
Community forestry works. Here we have demonstrated that community forestry works.
Près de 80%, environ 40 millions, un peu plus, de la
80% of the Congolese population live directly or indirectly of these forests.
Des produits de la forêt dépendent de la forêt, soit directement, soit indirectement.
The government has the political will and really wants to support this type of forest. The potential of this initiative is enormous.
Around the world, people are beginning to think differently about how to manage and conserve forests. Governments and private companies have not always done a good job and have left local people out. Now a new way of doing things is being explored, giving local communities the right to manage the forests around them. In the past, local people have often been given very little say in how their forests were managed. With no recognition of their rights, communities have often had little incentive or opportunity to manage forests for the long term. Community forestry aims to change all this.
Before the project started, it is true that we did not understand how to effectively manage the forest. We were ruining it and didn't understand its real value. When businessmen came, they could cut it down and pay whatever they liked for it, because we did not value the forest.
The most valuable resources in the forest have always been taken by outsiders. So usually in the past this was timber. Who takes the timber? Either large commercial concession companies or governments themselves. The communities, if they're lucky, get a little bit of low-paid employment in bad conditions. In many cases, they don't even get that.
It is a big, this paradigm shift, in terms of this how the forest resources controlled, managed, and used. So it is a big revolution in the whole forestry world, and then in society.
Las comunidades han tenido la capacidad de hacerlo y tienen tanta capacidad.
The communities have been very able, more able than the private companies, to make good use of the natural resources.
El bosque es el que nos ha permitido estar hasta donde ahora estamos.
The forest is what has permitted us to be who we are.
Extraer los recursos sin causar mayores impactos.
The sustainable forest management in these areas, extracting the resources while protecting the environment, has allowed us to have a much higher level of development in our community than before.
Community forestry means that people who live in and around a forest are responsible for managing the forest and have the right to benefit from it. Communities may be given full ownership of the land, or they may be given more limited rights to manage the forest resources.
Community forestry is important because the people who live closest to the forest are those who are able to manage the forest most effectively They also have the most to lose if the forest is destroyed.
Community forestry can be set up in many different ways, and every community has to discover what works best for them. Possible management systems depend on the type of forest, the goods and services the forest can provide, the possibilities to sell these on the market, and also on the government regulations. Where forests are badly degraded, communities can help to restore or improve them.
When we were given back the forest, it was very degraded. There were not many trees left. We discussed it with the village committee and made a plan. We started planting trees and thinning and pruning the area to make sure the trees would grow. The forest has revived. We could never have imagined what we have gained back from the forest.
Communities can also sell forest products, bringing in extra income while boosting the local economy.
Estamos hablando que en los últimos años, solo hablando de madera.
What we are saying is that over the last few years, the timber products alone have generated $6 million in the communities, solely in terms of timber activities.
La actividad puramente maderable. Por otra parte está la actividad no maderable.
For non-timber forest products, I don't have the precise numbers now, but Shate has been the second most profitable product after timber. That's the ornamental palm leaf, the second product after timber.
Que ha sido el segundo producto después de la madera. Hace unos años,
2 years ago, timber represented $3 million and Shate represented $2.5 million.
The forest also provides many environmental services, such as clean water and a habitat for animals and plants. It also helps regulate the climate. Communities could receive payments to help protect the forest and maintain these services.
We believe that people who look after the forest should get compensation for this. The forest exists because the people have struggled a lot to look after it.
Community forestry is now expected to do so many things, and in Nepal it's actually demonstrated that it can protect the environment, it can improve people's livelihoods at the same time, and it can even improve social justice.
By protecting the forest, community forestry can ensure the supply of locally valuable products such as medicinal plants and forest foods.
On dit que l'eau, c'est la vie. En plus de ici chez nous, la forêt, c'est notre vie.
There is a saying that water is life. And to us, the forest is life. Because it is where we find all that we need to survive as a family and as a community.
Revenues from selling forest products and services can also help to improve the lives of rural people and communities. Communities may decide to invest in infrastructure such as schools, clinics, roads, water provision and electricity. The revenues can also provide valuable income for community members.
Pues déjeme contarle que aquí en Carmelita no contábamos con telesecundaria porque esto.
Here in Carmelita, there was no secondary school before. They didn't have this level of education in the previous years. Therefore, the children ran out of studies for those 3 to 4 relevant years. Now they are studying with me, so this is going to change their life because they will have better opportunities for the future.
I want to be an accountant.
I want to be a secretary.
I want to be a teacher.
Community forestry can also give marginalised people in a community, such as women or the poorest, a chance to improve their situations.
Community forestry is seen differently by different people, but I see that it is more than just planting and protecting forest. It is more, bringing social change.
We are making sure women are not forgotten here, and we believe that we must have other activities in which they can participate.
Before community forestry can begin, the ownership over land and resources and the rules on forest use have to be carefully considered. Regulations should be flexible and adapted to the local situation. To obtain rights to the forest, communities have to follow an official process. This often includes producing a formal plan which indicates how the forest will be managed and used. Communities may need to map and agree the boundaries of their forest, count the valuable trees, and decide on forest use and forest conservation measures. The process of getting approval by the government can be slow and frustrating.
You have to be committed, you have to be patient, to wait until you get the real benefits, because it's not a thing will start today and you start benefiting tomorrow. It takes time.
A management committee also has to be set up. There may be traditional bodies that can take on this role, but sometimes a new structure needs to be created. Decisions about forest management and sharing of benefits need to be transparent to avoid conflict within the community. Across all these stages, there is a need for advice and training. Communities may need advice in organising and administering the community forest. They may also need to learn technical skills, such as how to map the forest, how to harvest and process products, and how to sell them. Governments may not always be willing or able to provide the necessary support. Non-government organisations can have an important role to play in providing assistance.
En muchos casos, las ONGs cumplen una función.
In many cases, NGOs are very important because they have the expertise that is required to inform the process.
We have grown to understand that the current exploitation of our forest is not really contributing to our efforts to reduce poverty as much as we had thought. Our alternative is to enable the local people themselves to manage the forest and so help improve their way of life.
En fait, le gouvernement de la République est déterminé de faire aboutir cet important processus.
The government of the Republic is determined to lead the implementation of this important process of local community forests so that the forest can contribute significantly to improving the living conditions of these communities.
À l'amélioration des conditions de vie de ces communautés, nous avons énormément besoin de capitaliser les expériences d'autres pays.
We believe it is essential that Congo capitalize on the experience of other countries.
Ce qu'ils ont obtenu comme réussite, les points forts.
Je vois donc en termes de futur, je vois une nouvelle ère.
I see for the future a new fresh beginning for the DRC, with local communities becoming involved in managing their local community forest directly.
De ceux-là qui gèrent directement la forêt.
La forêt communautaire.
The local community forest is something very important for us.
On doit quand même protéger cette forêt parce que c'est toujours cette forêt.
We have to conserve and protect the forest because even our children will most probably live off this forest in the same way we have.